Hi, and welcome to the Creative Liberation Podcast. My name is Claudia, and I am the host of this show. So, today we want to discover your inner alchemist, or let's say we want to awaken your truest artist that lives within you. Because all of us have creative talents, but society and, well, culture and other norms have actually made us suppress this inner creativity that lies within us. So, let me give you a quick overview of what we're going to talk about and why this is actually very important for you. First of all, we will dive deeper into artistic expressions, what those actually are, because usually when we talk about creativity, we will think it's like, creating music, it's painting, and maybe, writing a novel. But there's so much more and there's so many layers, and I would kindly invite you to join me on this exploration of this source that brings us so much joy and fulfillment, because this is actually the battery of our fulfillment, let's call it this way, or the driving force of why we feel aligned with our soul purpose and our soul's blueprint, right? Like we feel ourselves when we are creative. There's no denying that, although we have been taught that creativity is something, woo woo, and it's not the goal getting. So it's not as valuable unless you want to be a full-time artist, but then of course the expectation is very high and you have to make a certain amount of money, otherwise you're the typical breadless artist that I guess we all have heard about, and probably this image has impacted our lives. So what I want to talk about first is the detours that we do, because as women we often, this is like the new norm, right? As women, we often get so much into our masculine energy. We get so much into this doer energy. We want to achieve, we hustle so much. So that's why I say that these days I'm a delusional anti-girl boss, because I used to be a girl boss and I had big dreams, let's say it this way, but they were not my dreams. They were not my visions. Those goals were not aligned with what my soul and my heart truly desires. And creativity has played a huge role, not only for me, but I see it for other women. It has played a huge role to align those visions, to align success with our truest passions, and, this feeling of freedom, of liberty, of balance in our life. And for me, I have been stuck, and it's probably true for, or it could be true for you also. I have been stuck in active distractions. So, what are active distractions? Active distractions are basically the things that we do, the hobbies, maybe even the businesses that we build, the career that we get, or, a lifestyle that we pursue, that we, like, things that we do actively. Like, we try to get them, we eventually even get them. But they are really just distractions from our truest purpose. And I know people talk about purpose a lot, right? And usually it goes in that direction, that find your purpose and then make it, your business, or make it your work, and then you'll never have to work again. And honestly, I'm not an advocate for that. That can be one of the paths that you embark on, but it doesn't have to be. Purpose can still be, well, detached from your work life, and work life can just be that, it can just be your job and paying the bills and, saving some money and stuff like that, whereas your freedom will be freedom. Wow, that was unconscious. Where's your free time? Will be the part of your life where you will live out your purpose, if that does make sense. So I really would like to invite you on this mind journey that everything is possible when it comes to your purpose, and creativity lived out in our daily life is something that will help you eliminate those active distractions. Because what you are distracting yourself from is your truest self. It's the self-exploration, because living out the purpose is not always comfortable. I don't know why we have created this image of, rainbows and unicorns, and when you're living your purpose out, then everything's so easy. It's not. Living true to your purpose still will bring obstacles, challenges, sometimes even moments where you're like, what the F is going on right now? Like, how can I, like, why am I even doing this, right? But then if you're living out your truest purpose, then you'll be reminded, like, oh, so that's why I'm doing it. It will be like this motor or motivational part of yourself that comes from within, and no matter what is happening in the outside world, you'll just be like, okay, I'll keep doing this. So for me, active distractions look like they have different faces, right? Since this is a podcast for women, let's just focus on the whole aspect of reconnecting with the feminine, because I used to be a very disconnected person from my feminine energy. I really, really wanted to be in my masculine energy. I did everything. Like, I was basically super Miss Independent. Like, I was one of the top ones, right? And I still am recovering from that. I'm still a recovering high achiever. Yet I have learned to reconnect with my feminine energy, and that means reconnecting with your inner creativity, which then led me to discover those distractions that I've had in my life. For example, what I observe many women do is, when it comes to their free time, they plan it in a very masculine energy way. And this could look like, going to CrossFit, then doing some boxing, and then having another hobby, like, playing poker or something. Like, all of those very, like, masculine energy kind of hobbies. And watch out, like, that's not something where I'm saying, like, oh, don't do this. It's something to be aware of, and something to bring balance into your daily life with that. So those active distractions, as I said, doing CrossFit, boxing, other like very manly things, but also having too many obligations and a very structured day-to-day life. And I know structure and routine is necessary, but there's also the need, especially for women, to have some playtime, some free time, some time to just be, because feminine energy is that, it's the being. And if you're constantly doing something, it could be even meeting up with your girlfriends or friends in general. If you're constantly in this go, go, go mode, then you can truly not discover this inner artist. You will be disconnected from that that part of you, because you will not allow the space for it. What it meant for me personally was that I was basically dancing with a burnout. I'm not sure if I really was like in it already, or if I definitely had one foot in that. And it was not a pleasant phase, and it took me a while, and I'm still recovering from that. And the more I talk to other people who know, like, they know they were in a severe burnout, the more I'm like, yeah, I think I might have crossed that line. Which is very sad, to be honest, and I don't wish this to anybody to happen. That's why creative liberation is here to help you just not get into that, to not get into this hustle mode, to escape this whole girl bossing, this whole competitiveness, and rather just explore the possibilities that are there. And that's why I want you to become this alchemist of your life. So what does an alchemist do? An alchemist transmutes and transforms energy, or transforms even, materialistic things, chemistry, creating gold and all those things. But an alchemist also will have a blank sheet of paper and create a piece of artwork from that, and that will give value to somebody. The least, it will give you value because of the process that you're doing. So an alchemist is somebody who knows the goal, right? They know why they're doing something. Like, they have a vision. They want to create this piece of gold, whatever it is. And they just go on the process of experimentation. And that is the beauty of creativity. You just go and explore, you play. There's no plan A that you have to stick to, but you rather go left and right, but you still stick to the path. You stick to the process of doing things until you achieve your transmutation. It could be something emotional also. You could become a creative alchemist of emotions, transforming the energy of a room and things like that. So let's take a deep dive or a quick overview of what artistic expression actually could mean. Because as I said before, we get confused that artistic expression, it's always the painting, it's always the poem. But it's not. There's so many layers to it. Artistic expression, it could be visual arts, even digital arts, right? Graphic design, that is more like on the work side, but it's still an expression of creativity, depending on your work, obviously. But you have so many possibilities to get a message out. There's not this one structured way. There's many options. So I kindly invite you to explore them. The same goes for, filmmaking, for example. There's not the one perfect blueprint. There's so many styles when it comes to creating films. If it's short films, if it's, content creation for social media, long form for YouTube. If you want to go to Hollywood, if you want to be an independent filmmaker, whatever it is, there's just this whole world, universe of possibilities. And it could be something just for you and your friends, for example, as I have a couple of friends that create the most interesting and beautiful content, and they do it just for their inner circle. They don't have any aspirations to make it like their work life, their business. They just enjoy the process of doing this, and you could truly see it. And I would definitely recommend just exploring with that, to see how it goes, because maybe you'll discover like, I really like this. And maybe that is an option of this whole creative liberation process that we're embarking on. Maybe this could lead to a new business path, a new work life, a new job. Or it could be just to a different kind of free time, but in general, the end result is a more fulfilled life. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind, because we're going to dive deeper into that throughout the podcast. Other artistic expressions are music. If you play an instrument, if you sing under the shower, or you even sing while you're making food, because culinary arts is another form of creative expression. It's another form of your inner artist becoming, becoming this materialistic manifestation of something. And especially with everything around cooking and baking, personally, I've had many, many issues because I just didn't want to be the woman who is put into the kitchen and that's her job. You know what I mean? I wanted to be Miss Independent who doesn't just stay in the kitchen and does produce some things. She's more than that, right? Whereas now I'm rediscovering like, hey, making this most beautiful looking smoothie bowl as a breakfast and not even sharing, a picture of that. That is something where your creativity gets ignited, and it will, the result is that your day will flow with this creative energy. That is something very, very beautiful. Or maybe you start taking pictures of your beautiful smoothie bowls, right? And then you start sharing it no matter what other people are saying. I've seen so many beautifully looking bowls where I'm just like, this just looks so delicious and I definitely want to eat it. And it is also not only something good for your eye, but if you create those beautiful meals, you actually nurture your body. You do something for your health. There's this side effect, right, of this beautiful creation where you just do so much more than just create a smoothie bowl. It's a whole process that gets, ignited by that. Making a cake, making it look beautiful, creating a meal and sharing it with your friends. That is a form of creativity. And it doesn't matter if you cook by recipe or if you're the kind of, chef or cook that just has 3 ingredients and will magically transmute something out of this, transform those 3 ingredients into a beautiful meal or even a snack. That is the beauty of being creative. And we often oversee it. We often don't see the chances that we get in our daily life to be creative. Another thing is, of course, writing and literature. It can be the poem. And honestly, I would invite you to try that out, because so many times I hear women saying to me that, oh, I used to write poems, or I used to write short stories, or I just loved writing. I always wanted to, fill in the blank, write whatever. And they just don't do it. And like, one day I'll have time for that, but you don't know. You just don't know if you'll have time for that. And while we are waiting for the perfect moment to write this poem, just sit down, take a minute and write those 4 lines. And maybe you'll have a poem, maybe you just have 1 line. And then in a couple of days, you'll come back to it and keep writing on that poem. Maybe you have, a couple of short stories that you just started. It doesn't matter how perfect you think they are. It's all about the journey of doing that. That is the liberation of creativity. Also, journaling, that is my all-time favorite to activate creativity. We will dive deeper into that throughout the podcast, because this is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools for every, I will say artist, because we are all artists. If you're in this, listening to this, then there is something that wants to create, and maybe you are still suppressing it, and that's okay. The acceptance of that suppression of our inner artist, that is something that is already very valuable. You don't have to sit down and do those things, right? Performing arts, another artistic expression where people think like, oh, one day I will do it. Do you remember if, for example, at school, you maybe were part of a theater group or something like that? Remember those moments. Maybe you have been looking at the local theater program, right? Maybe they have like a cultural program where they have like improv or whatever the offers may be. So if you had that nudge to maybe try it out, but you're still like, I won't success with that, or that will be so embarrassing, but you still keep coming back to that idea. That's a part of your inner artist talking to you and saying like, hey, Claudia, let's go. Let's do this. Let's try it out. The consequences of not doing it are so much bigger, but that's for another time. So you see, like, there's many, many options of artistic expression. Like, now that I think about it, also creating clothes, like knitting. That will be on the crafty side of the artistic expression, which usually from, like a society perspective, or the kind of reality that I'm observing, is that usually craftsmanship is seen as lower valued if it's made by, or if it's done by a woman. If she's knitting, it's not as valuable as a man creating a table out of wood. I just want to give you that thought. I don't want to dive deeper into that, because we will explore those concepts, right, that are planted into our mind. And I will be very, let's say, dramatic about those differences between men and women and feminine and masculine energy. And I will intertwine that because I want to exaggerate those things that are not serving us. And I know it's a generalization, but I also want you to be aware that this is the journey you're embarking on with. That is actually something that will help you to be free at the end, to realize what is going on with you, where you have been blocked, where you have been suppressing yourself, and where you can discover more and, dare to dream. I think that is a good expression. And with that being said, I would love to, give you some psychological and emotional benefits, so that you understand why artistic expression and awakening that inner artist is so important for you as a person, for you as a human being, for you as a woman. So some of the things, like on a psychological side, right? One of the benefits is that actually your brain function will improve over time. What does it mean? And that's the fun of playing with creativity, because while you explore that creative path, right? And you are actively creative and you are creating on a daily basis, that will improve, that's the feminine side, that will improve the masculine side as well. For example, being structured, following through, making decisions. And that is a very, very fantastic thing that I have discovered for my personal life, because that journey will be a little bit different for each of us, right? But for me, my decision-making process is so much better, so much clearer, and so much more aligned with my values and what I truly desire, even if I'm consciously not aware of it in the moment of the decision-making process. So the more creativity I have around myself, the better my decisions are. And that actually leads to better results, which, like when you look at it, like there's so many little steps that we aren't super aware of them, but then suddenly what happens is that you just feel at peace with your life. You feel that everything's right, that everything's just flowing. Everything seems to be so easy, or much easier than it was before. So your brain will just, those neurons will work for you and with you. So that is one thing, right? The other thing is that your stress level will be reduced. Your cortisol will go down. You will eventually feel more at peace, feel more relaxed. You will have those moments where you just sit down or lay down on your sofa and you're like, well, life is good. Like I'll just be bored for a couple of minutes or even a couple of hours. You will not feel this pressure from within. It's actually pressure from the outside, but we internalize it. So you feel the pressure much less once you invite more creativity into your life. You will suddenly become this balanced woman where everybody is like, what did she do that she's so aligned? Like people would not say aligned, but like, oh, she's such a pleasant, person to be around, or oh, she's so cool, she's so relaxed, she's always so chill, or whatever people say, right? But this will be a result of embracing your inner artist and letting them be crazy, letting them to do whatever they have to do in order to create, in order to bring joy into your life. And on the emotional side, that's also very, very, very beneficial, is that with your creative process, you will automatically, like there's no denying that this happens, you automatically start releasing and understanding your emotions. You will notice that sometimes, for example, if you play an instrument, right, you will have moments where learning a new skill seems super easy. And you're just like, wow, this style of playing is like, that's super fun. And, playing that song, that was easy. And then the next day it will be horrible. There will be blockages. Your fingers will not be working. You'll be like, what the heck is going on, right? And that is the part of the process. But then the more you do that, the more you'll be aware, like, yesterday that was working. And yesterday, maybe you met with a friend and you had this beautiful conversation, and maybe you were talking about dreams or, planning your wedding or whatever you were doing, right? And then the next day when things were not working out, you just realized like, you received a letter from, I don't know, the tax office, right? And that did something to you, and that had an effect on your day-to-day life. But with the creativity, with the expression of your creative self, you will counterbalance it. You will find the equilibrium of not falling into the pit hole of those emotions that are draining you down, but rather you'll be releasing them, it will not work. You'll be frustrated. It will still not be a good day for practice, but it will be done. And then your emotions can be filled with something positive, beautiful again. And if you do creative things for yourself, right? For example, you paint, yeah? And you paint something and you share it to your partner, to somebody who's just, in your circle. You're not sharing it on social media with strangers. You're just sharing it with somebody who's dear to your heart. And just this effect of sharing will actually bring more empathy into your life. And maybe you say, and I get it, like you say like, oh, I am highly sensitive, like I'm super sensitive to other people's emotions. I'm highly empathetic and stuff like that. Yes, that probably comes from, some sort of conditioning or childhood trauma where you had to be hypersensitive, where you had to be very aware of other people's emotions in order to keep everything together, right? That is not the healthy kind of empathy. That is the kind of empathy that often gets into our way when we are adults. The kind of empathy that is created through sharing your creative endeavors, your creative projects, is the kind of empathy of connection, of talking about like, hey, what's going on in this painting? Or you reading out a poem to your friends and, them applauding. That automatically is also a feeling of self-accomplishment, of, serving the others. And you never know what effect this poem has on one of your friends. We never know what the other person is truly going through. We might have an idea, but those creative projects, those creations in general, they connect not only to our emotions, but they also connect to other people's emotions. They do move us on different levels. Some people are very, reserved. Still, something is going on. And then there's also, group projects where, for example, if you go to a theater and do this improv class, right, or this improv workshop, you will be doing it with other people probably. That will be another form of connection, understanding what is this other person going through, what is this other person planning in this class, how do I react, how do I fill in my role. That is something that you just can't do when you're being creative. You cannot structure this. I often see it, for example, in work life, where we try to create those connections, right? You probably know that. Those forced connections at work. It's forced. It's not the soul connection that happens through creativity. Or even, those art and wine evenings, right? Where all people meet together, sip some wine, paint the same painting. You'd see like, well, that's not so creative. The process is you have to, take the paintbrush, you paint, have some conversations, you have some laughs. Maybe there's even somebody you don't like, and you put that into your picture somehow, right? There will be like harsher brush strokes where you're like angry at whatever that person said, or you will, try out different colors because you get inspired by this other person. And that is the form of connection that each of us needs, that we truly as human beings desire and need in order to be fulfilled. So now that we have talked about a few of the psychological and also emotional benefits that creative expression or creative interest bring into your life, I would love to give you some, first hints, how you can discover who is that inner artist. How can I awaken this part of me when I'm completely lost, when I think I have no creative talents, when I think creativity is not for me. I'm not a creative person. Because I assure you, we all are. And especially women, like, hear me out, especially women, we are creatresses. We just are. We create. That is our superpower. So that's why creative liberation is such an important project for me, because I really need women to be aware of this responsibility that we have to play our role. In order to play our part, we have to be creative, and it looks different for everybody. So probably if you say I'm not a creative person, you're just creatively blocked, and that's okay. I was creatively blocked for a long, long time. For example, I didn't paint for, I don't know, like 12, 13, 14 years, like a long, long time. And once I started overcoming those blockages and adding more and more creativity into my life, I swear to God, my life just went crazy. So many possibilities started opening up, and I still had frustrations. I still had some roadblocks, but using creativity in order to help me get past that was the biggest game changer. It wasn't any affirmation, it wasn't anything else. It was creativity, applied, active creativity on different levels, in different measures, and different, worlds, but it's something truly beautiful. So if you say I'm not a creative person, I don't have any creative interests or talents, I would love you. I would also love you, but I would love you to probably look back into your childhood or even your teenage years and look for like a very important, meaningful memory in your life. It could be even a day where you and your family went to like a swimming pool or something, or you had a day at the beach, or you went camping or something, like some sort of memory where you say like that's a core memory, and see what was happening around you. Try to do this little trip down memory lane, because it will help you to uncover what is this inner creator or inner creatress. Who is this inner creatress inside of you? Who needs to be reawakened? Who needs to be brought back to life? And I have created a meditation that will help you. If you say like, no way, I can consciously work through this, I have made a little beautiful meditation to help you dive into your subconscious and explore this inner creator that is within you. It will bring up interesting, let's say, memories back, or just, like little urges that will come to the surface after doing that. So there will be a link in the description or in the show notes below. And if you want, completely free, it's something to, get started removing those creative blocks. And so later in the podcast, we will actually talk about the creative habits that you need to nourish and create, right? To get them started in order to have the fulfillment as an alchemist, as a creatress. But right now, that's all you need to know. You need to know that awakening that inner artist is the first step to freedom, to true unconditional love, to fulfillment in life. That is the first step. Alchemy will be something we'll be doing throughout the whole podcast. So today we talked about, some of the psychological and emotional benefits that awakening this inner artist will definitely bring you. Like there's no denial that this will actually happen. We just don't want to admit it, because that will mean that we do have to embark on this path of creative liberation. So it is a tool for personal growth. It is also a tool to help you achieve the goals that you have in life. And they have different natures. They have, like private goals, professional goals, fun goals, and, just for the sake of being a goals. All that kind of stuff will be magnified and amplified by creativity, by becoming the alchemist of your life. So I truly invite you to explore creativity. Creative liberation, it is a journey. There's no end goal that we will achieve, yet we will have certain milestones that we will achieve together. And I'm very curious to, embark on this beautiful trip with you. It will be so interesting what we will discover, what you will discover about yourself. I can guarantee you at this point, you have not known before. This whole project is designed to help you awaken parts of you and discover parts of you, express parts of you that either have been suppressed or you never were aware that they exist and the power that they have. And because I want to, make it as actionable as possible, you already have the first meditation that you can try out to discover those blockages and unblock the creative expressions within yourself. But also, I would love to have a conversation with you. So that's why there will be another link in the description and in the show notes. It will be byclaudia.com/hello, where you can, tell me more about your journey with creativity, because we really want to make it as interactive and fun and valuable as possible. And I'm pretty sure that the version of you that will be as free as possible in a creative manner will surprise you in the best possible way. And that is the path to fulfillment. So let's just do it, right? So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the video if you have watched the video. And if you like, you can always rate the podcast and just tune in into the next episode. I'm very happy to see you soon or hear you soon. Bye-bye.